I think that those like experiences just doing tarot with strangers in suits at Oracle Open World like made me realize that tarot could kind of be for anyone, even if someone has no experience with it. And that a lot of issues, like why people don't necessarily get into tarot, is because it is really wrapped up in witchiness. And so I'm trying to like build a platform that's not, it's witch inclusive, but it's not like all witchy.
Hey, Sheree.
Hey, Han.
I can't wait for who we have on the show today. She is one of the funniest people I know. I'm so excited.
So am I. I mean, it is not very often that you meet someone who is both a prankster, a meme maker, and a deal maker, and does all of them like exceptionally well. We're talking about the exceptional human Danielle Baskin. She is literally a person who like takes multi-hyphenate to an entirely other level. She's done crazy jokes on the whole Silicon Valley, which feels like a double entendre. Like she's literally made a fake toothbrush sharing startup to mock ride sharing and the whole catastrophe that can be. She made investor trading cards. She also built a fake company that was selling sweaters for drones. And she made Elizabeth Holmes costumes, which feel still relevant. But her serious stuff is actually like where the like, OMG, you did that really comes into play. She built Inkwell helmets, which was like hand painted bike helmets that she did like first as a hobby and then like it blew up. She also built Dial Up, which is a voice-based social app. And today, on today's episode, we're going to talk about her latest venture, Moonlight, which is a tarot app. And we're going to talk about the moment shit got real for Danielle and her latest adventure.
Danielle, we are so excited to have you here today. Tell us, please, what is the moment for you recently where something just got real?
So there's a story where things got real probably when I was kicked out of Oracle, the software conference, which wasn't recent. This actually happened, well, like every year for 4 consecutive years. But the first time it ever happened, I think that was my first time like getting escorted out by security.
So you've been sneaking into the Oracle conference for the last 4 years? Why?
When I first moved to San Francisco, I felt like, I don't know, I would sort of like mock how much tech there was. Like, you know, there's so many like SaaS billboards and like so many conferences here. And there was these giant letters that said Oracle. Of course, I know what, you know, Oracle, like the software company. And as someone who's actually into mysticism and the concept of an oracle, I just like saw these signs and I was like, the oracles are coming to town. And I just told this to my friends, like, oh, wow, are you going to go to the Oracle conference and meet some soothsayers? And there was signage everywhere because it's like a 40,000 person conference. And of course, I knew that this would just be a very boring conference. But then I thought, oh, what if I staged a conference called Oracle Open World, like exact same name, and made it seem like a conference for people doing different divination techniques that happened at the exact same place and time. So I got the domain name oracleopenworld.org and they have the .com. And I like made tickets available and just started sharing it all over. But like gave people the exact address as Moscone Center and told people, because I'm actually interested in different divination techniques, I told everyone coming that it wasn't simply a joke, like actually research something related to divination, like pick up a book on I Ching, learn tarot, and we're going to practice. And we're going to ignore the other conference that's happening and pretend like we have no idea what that is. So, the first time we did this, like all these people showed up in capes. I made fake badges for everyone and went in like different groups and kind of dispersed ourselves and stayed for like 4 hours.
Wow.
And that was such an incredible conference because we really like went up to random people there who like probably didn't want to be there. No one really wants.
Question for you while you talk about this.
Yeah.
So like the show is It Just Got Real, and this is a got real moment. So I would just love to understand a little bit more like, why did you decide to do this?
I love trespassing into things. Like this is a thrill. I sort of like need to every so often. I like messing with reality, specifically conferences, but also like, I don't know, interesting buildings and stuff. I just like to figure out the puzzle of sort of bypassing security to get somewhere. Simultaneously, I did like want to meet other people like into divination, and I did want to like, sort of make fun of Oracle software. There are a lot of different forces together. I also didn't know if anyone would show up, and like I wasn't entirely certain of my idea. I never know if my pranks are like just something that I find funny or other people would. But I still was like, I have to do it. And I was at the time, like I had been, reading tarot for many years, but this is the first time I had, like, I, usually do tarot parties or with friends and stuff like that. But this would be the first time that I am like going up to people in suits and giving them tarot readings. And giving people like tarot readings before they'd go on a panel.
Full of people in suits on a panel and you doing tarot is like very loud for me. I'm going to turn to Hannah, but I just had to say the visual of me thinking of this is a lot.
Okay, so I'm dying to know what happens because this has been like such an amazing preamble to your moment. Surely there's something that must have really stood out.
Yeah.
Right?
I think the thing that was really crazy about this was how into tarot the people there were. It was supposed to be this whole joke, but I actually ended up in very long conversations with some people talking about like their relationship with their kids or like their boss that like always like cuts them off during meetings. Wow. And people were just telling me about real shit they were experiencing at work.
Okay. And so were they telling you this real shit like after you gave them the tarot reading and then they were like, oh my God, yes, this happens? Or
kind of before the reading. So what we were all doing is we were just like finding individuals and saying like, I'm an oracle. Would you like to sort of discuss what's going on in your life? I think by like sort of acting in this sort of theatrical way, people like at first thought this was this funny joke, and we would pull them aside and take them to like a quiet area or like lounge area with I don't know, they have these like networking chairs
that you sit in specifically when you're going to network.
Yeah, like at conferences,
like musical chairs, but for networking.
Yeah, they're like uncomfortable, like little
Wait, do they have like little like tags on them? Like I'm a networking chair?
The chairs ergonomically designed for networking. Like, are they different than regular chairs?
I think there's like a sponsor for the networking zones. Like they have like these sort of fake plants and they're sort of like cube chairs and like phone chargers, and it'll be like the Deloitte cozy zone or something like that.
Oh my God.
So we go to like maybe Deloitte cozy zone and sit in chairs, and I sort of, take off my act and I'm like, I just ask them, like, what's been going on in your life? Like, what are some things that you feel like you want more clarity on? And if they respond in a jokey way, I'm like, no. Like, I'm not joking. Like, really, what do you want to talk about? Like, I'm here to discuss things going on in your life. Because some people will be like, when will I die? Just like kind of like things that you would sort of stereotypically ask like a fortune teller. Right. I'm like, no, tell me about something that's really been weighing on you lately. And I think that they have already entered that magic circle and they're, not near their coworkers and stuff. So they feel like they could really, say whatever's on their mind. And this happened multiple times. And the other people who also joined as oracles reported this too, that people would tell them about relationship stuff, about like, I don't know, some fear that as their son is, this has happened to me, like someone saying as their son is getting older, they feel like they can't communicate as well. And she kind of is worried about like sort of losing touch with him. And then lots of work stuff too, lots of like interpersonal relationship things. And I think like, I realized in that moment how awesome, like I was always into tarot, but I thought it's so cool that this like simple, like we're just like looking at images on cards and I'm wearing a cape, that these simple acts of sort of entering a magical space make people really like reveal what's on their mind. And then like we could have a whole conversation for 20 minutes and then they have more clarity and have like, they have often given the advice to themselves. Like that's just my style of tarot reading. But like, I don't know, that's something deeply beneficial. But what is funny, and this will lead to me getting escorted out, is there ended up being a really long line to get tarot readings.
Of course, there was a long line.
That's what I was going to say next. I was like, I bet people thought that you were there on purpose and wanted to come get this, right?
I explained to people that I just like snuck in, like, and then they thought that was kind of funny. I told them I wasn't like selling them anything, that I was just treating this like the Oracle conference and that we're having our own conference and we're just practicing divination. But people would get a reading and then like tell someone else, and then there were all these people searching for the people with the capes to get like different divination techniques done. And not everyone did tarot. Some people did like I Ching. Some people did like paper crumbling and reading the lines and the creases. Like there are all these different things happening. But people were seeking us out. And when there was finally a long line to get a reading with me in one of these cozy zones, then like this was very visible on the security cameras. There was like something unusual happening. There's a line and there's someone wearing a cape and a hat, and like what, they didn't pay for a booth. There was this message sent to all the security guards to like gather the people wearing the capes. And they explained to us that like they were told that like they thought we were selling something. They thought we were like, unpaid, or that we didn't pay for a booth and we were doing guerrilla marketing, which we were not. But when I was talking to all the other people who participated in our conference, I just thought, oh, like divination is cooler than I even thought. I mean, it was fine. We finally got kicked out. We got 4 solid hours of just like talking to people about real things going on in their life, which would not normally happen there.
Tell us more about, you were just saying that you got so much out of the divination conference that you held. And Sheree and I know that you're very good at sort of getting into spaces and creating something in there, like what you did for, did you get like someone to serve a cocktail to a drone wearing a sweater at a bar once?
I did, yeah. I put my drone on Tinder.
Yeah, you seem very good at this. So we'd love to know more about, how did the other participants of this Oracle conference that you put on interact, and what did you learn from them?
Yeah, the participants that were part of our conference, I did a lot of prep stuff with them, sort of to, when I do sort of pranks and jokes, I don't want it to be simply like for the lols, because I feel like you could go a step deeper and actually affect people. So I didn't want people to treat being an oracle as purely a gimmick. I wanted people to genuinely try, just so they can like experience it for themselves. And so on our sign up form on the website, of course, I made a website that looked like a whole conference. I had a list of like the keynote speakers. I made up names and stuff like that. I sent people long emails about like what we're really doing after they signed up. And then I had everyone kind of like gather before we went in. So we had like a mini meeting to discuss like how the day would go. And I think that really like helped, because otherwise it could have been seen as purely like a pun or a sort of anti-oracle thing. But we took it a step further and got to actually have a conference.
I think what's interesting to me about like all that you're sharing is just this juxtaposition between you having a feeling that's very inside, but you being like a technologist and a person who can think about things at scale, and how you took something that, like, in my opinion, is very internal. I won't say in my opinion, but I think a lot of people think of things like divination as like an internal thing. And for you to take it like, oh, this is a moment I had. Now this is a moment I'm sharing. Now this is actually a thing I think I could scale in an industry where like this is not what people are talking about at all.
Oh, yeah. I think since sort of weaving different divination techniques into my life and doing it with friends and stuff, I like know that it's beneficial for a lot of people, but like people wouldn't want to touch it because it's like has a lot of negative stigma.
That's a perfect segue. I wanted to ask you about how you got into this in the first place, because also it plays a much larger role in your life now. And yeah, I'm not sure that everybody who's listening to the cast knows what you're up to today. And we'd love to hear more about that.
Yeah, the company I have founded, a year ago now, is called Moonlight, which is it is a social tarot platform. So it is a place to do multiplayer tarot with other people. And it's also used by professionals for running their sessions, and then just like friends hanging out with tarot. Because you have video, you got shared cards. There's also like we have many decks, all like with their own artist notes and stuff. So it's a way to explore the artwork. It's sort of open to like many different relationships with tarot. You could use it as just like a creative tool, or like use it for inspiration for design. You could have, team stand-ups in there. You could also use it for like long, deep conversations, and you could use it in like a spiritual way or a not spiritual way. So it's kind of sandboxy. That's what I work on full time, which was like a journey to turn it into a company, because it was always like a side interest up until like I realized how many people wanted more tools for tarot. But I think that those like experiences just doing tarot with strangers in suits at Oracle Open World like made me realize that tarot could kind of be for anyone, even if someone has no experience with it. And that a lot of issues, like why people don't necessarily get into tarot, is because it is really wrapped up in witchiness. And so I'm trying to like build a platform it's witch inclusive, but it's not like all witchy.
I've never heard the term witch inclusive before, but I absolutely love it.
Yeah, I think about it being witch inclusive, but not witchy all the time.
Yeah. So I remember when you pitched this to me, I can't believe it was a year ago now. And I was like, oh, that is a fantastic idea. And it felt like it was just born so naturally out of your previous startup, Dial-Up, where people had these really intimate connections with each other. And now you're giving them a tool to have a connection over, but still in that really like flexible environment, like you say. It could be anything. How did you get into tarot and being witch inclusive in the first place, Danielle?
I think like as a teenager, I was just like interested in witchy things and doing witchy rituals with friends in like a playful way. I think like a lot of teenagers are, and it's like not that serious, but you're just kind of attracted to the aesthetics and like turning off lights and putting on a candle and trying to communicate with spirits. I had this idea when I was 19 and to paint a whole deck of tarot cards on 78 helmets and then distribute them around New York so that you could like get a reading by someone passing you on your bike.
Love that. This is the Inkwell helmets, right?
Yeah. It's called Inkwell helmets, which I actually ran for like 10 years.
They're beautiful.
Thank you. Yeah, it's a terrible business because they took such a long time to paint, and you can only charge so much money for a bicycle helmet. Right. Like flat paintings on walls, you can scale the price with the level of intricacy. A helmet's a helmet. So it wasn't a good business, but I like loved the concept of people having portable artwork on them. And as I was painting the helmets, I sort of would really study each card and like I would attach like my interpretation of the card onto the helmet. Because I had to like map it out. And I did this weird system with like left brain, right brain, because it was a brain shaped thing. So I made that like unconscious, conscious. And then I like wrote why I put elements on different sides. I was trying to sell them for like, I don't know, I think $200 each, which was like a lot of money in 2008. That was really hard. But instead of selling them for a lot of people, I got tarot lessons in exchange. So I had like 3 different tarot teachers. And then, I don't know, people would give me tarot readings. Like we just did barters. Books, whatever, tarot decks. And because of that, because of having a bunch of different tarot teachers, I felt like that really like accelerated me getting into it. It took a lot of time for me to be comfortable just like doing readings for other people, maybe a few years. But it's been, maybe my like longest standing interest. And something that my relationship with it has definitely deepened year after year. So
I feel like this is super interesting. And I think it could be easy for someone to look at like this whole journey that you've had as like, oh, Danielle's just this super smart, like magical person. And of course, she's like thought of all these things. But in each part of your journey, there was like experimentation.
Yeah.
You were testing the market. You were like ideating the product. And like, even in you landing at this business, this wasn't like, now I'm the founder of this because I thought of it now. Like, this is like a decades long.
Oh yeah. It was also I got to witness one of my tarot teachers was a tarot reader in Second Life in 2008. And I would go to her house or her like this tiny studio apartment in Union Square, New York. The first time I went there, she had it was like a retro looking computer, I guess. I mean, she had this PC and it had Second Life with like her beachside tarot house. And she was explaining to me about how she runs her virtual tarot business, which was not that common then. So that's like been in my head for all those years, like me having like a long conversation with her about like doing tarot readings for people all over the world and the types of questions people would ask. I did so many different things with tarot throughout the years that like led to me building Moonlight. It wasn't like a sudden, oh, there's a gap in the marketplace for tarot and I'm a little interested. I've met so many tarot readers and I sort of like understand the issues of them running their businesses. I understand like the like toxic tarot culture on TikTok, and I understand like the scam issues on Instagram. And I also during the pandemic, while working on Dial Up, I connected people to give each other tarot readings on the phone. So lots of different tarot related things.
I feel like that is a red thread anytime we talk to founders, that their companies are never born out of like some type of lightning flash idea. Like, I'm going to go do this thing now. No. It's always like a space that they have just been sinking deeper and deeper and deeper into, like over the past decade, to amass that type of knowledge that you have today.
Absolutely. And I also didn't even know exactly what my product would be when I first, like I had so many different ideas for things to build for people into tarot. And it sort of felt, I think building the company really felt like working on a sculpture or something. Like it felt like chiseling. Like I knew that there was like something in the core, but I kept like chiseling away pieces and then showing it to people and then seeing what they see in it. And like, can you tell what this is? And then like chiseling it more. So.
And what has there been something that has emerged from the core of that sculptural stone, so to speak?
Yeah, our initial product is super sandboxy. You could sort of play, it's not prescriptive. You can sort of play with tarot however you want. And like something I didn't realize is how many people are seeking tarot classes that are like kind of specific, like how to like do tarot for fiction writing or something like that. Or like how to give tarot readings without gendered archetypes. There's lots of different things people are like teaching within Moonlight that I did not think of it as a class, as a platform for classes. I thought it was for like one-on-one sessions. So that's something like cool that has emerged. And then also I think like something that I built it for people who are already into tarot. But people who have never played with tarot at all, who are just attracted to the design of the site and the fonts and the art, are like, this seems cool. And then they're like doing tarot for the first time and realizing, oh, this has like immediately like catalyzed some idea just by pulling a single archetype. I'm like, oh, great, you get it. But I didn't design it to teach you. I think these are some realizations that like there's a lot of people who want to get into tarot.
On that note, I have to ask, have you been able to invite any of the suits from Oracle Open World into the Moonlight platform?
I didn't. Oh, the people I gave readings to?
Yes.
I didn't get any of their personal information. Like this was my relationships with those people were so ephemeral.
That's an opportunity for a wait list for next year's Oracle conference.
Yes. Oh, it'd be really funny to like sponsor an actual booth at the Oracle Open
I
World
think that's genius, and you should write it down. If you don't have a Notion, it should be in your Notion document.
I actually think that tarot could be really useful for companies.
Tell us more.
Because I do tarot all the time now, like multiple readings per day. When I'm meeting people, when I'm talking with my team, I pull cards for design decisions. I use it in such a casual way that always just helps me think of new ideas. And I think that there's a lot of perception that tarot is for like big life questions like you you consult a tarot reader when you don't know if you should take a job, or you're like, I don't know about the future of this relationship. And of course, tarot is useful for that. But for like really small business decisions, or thinking about like, what do we want if you're, working on a new product feature? How do we want people to feel when we release this? What are things we should be worried about? Like, you can design a whole spread that is like the arc of creating something within a company, or discussing what should my persona be when I'm at this meeting today? There's a lot of tiny things you can use tarot for that just like gets you thinking of like, oh, didn't think of that. So I would love people just to use it like on their team. A dream is to one day have like an enterprise plan on Moonlight, so that companies could like get tarot subscriptions for the team, and like, people could get tarot readings, or they could just like use tarot for an unlimited amount of time within their corporation. So
wow. I absolutely love that. And I would so take a class on learning how to do this on the Moonlight platform.
Yeah. One day, maybe by the time the podcast is out.
There's just so many gems in everything that you said. I use the I Ching. Do you know the I Ching, the book?
Oh, yeah. I love I Ching. Do you like throw coins?
Yes, I throw coins, and I used to do it for big life decisions.
Yeah.
Now I kind of do it like as a daily practice. So like that.
Oh, you do it daily. That's cool. Yeah, I love those 64 archetypes. Like, I think they all have like good nuggets of wisdom in them. I have an I Ching tarot deck, which has its own interpretation book, which is really beautiful. I got it. There's an artist in Japan that made it. I actually have a really funny book called I Ching for Business.
What?
Wait, it happens to just be on my table. So I'm showing you. If you're listening to this, it's from the 80s, and it has the cover of this book has like this sky and all these staircases and people with briefcases and suit walking up the staircases. They're on this journey. This book is really funny. I play with this ironically, but there's good nuggets of wisdom in here. Before doing Moonlight, I actually sold a company that was like a side company that was a mask making company. When I was navigating the sale of that business, I used this book because I was just like curious what advice it would give me. And there was really clear advice to do nothing. Like, I was at a sort of decision point where I guess like a lot was contingent on me sending an email, but I did nothing and then listened to the advice in the book. I was like, I'm just not going to send this. And then I like got some other surprise offer, which is something that I wanted. I think the sale of my company to the I Ching book.
That's it. That's
it. That's the show. That's
it. Literally it.
That is an incredible note to end on.
I won't tell people listening though that I don't like, I think you should always like, it is just one perspective. You cannot make major decisions on tarot or I Ching. It is a thing to consider.
I like the disclaimer.
If you're feeling, disclaimer. Don't base all your decisions on a random thing you get from any divination reading. It is purely a way to get you to think about possibilities. But if you're feeling like, it could go either way, whatever, I'm just going to try and see what happens. If you're feeling experimental, then it's kind of fun to be like, yeah, I'll just do what it says.
Love that. Love that.
That's my disclaimer.
Danielle, you are so wonderful at opening people's minds up to possibilities. It comes through your work and through your art. And I think ending on that is actually the perfect way to end this episode.
You were amazing and special, and everything that we want people to listen to this show know you can be. Like all of those things. So thank you.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my gosh. Danielle, like that was so fun. Like talking to her, just hearing just how her epiphanies come, and just the very special way in which she creates. It was like talking to a freaking wizard. Like, I loved every second of it. And I hope all of you listening, like, gain something about like literally just building things that you thoroughly enjoy, and how doing that while being thoughtful can really create magic, not just for you, but like for all of us that need some whimsy, but also things that like work and make sense. So I'm just excited to see where Moonlight goes, what Danielle continues to create. And it's just such a joy that we were able to have her. And thank you, Han, for like bringing her into the show.
Thank you so much, Danielle. So For today's episode's record scratch, I don't know if y'all have heard this, but an interesting thing has been happening in LA recently, an ongoing thing with a sea otter. And this sea otter has been stealing surfers' surfboards. Not only has she been stealing them, and oh yes, it is a she, but the surfers that have tried to fight her to get them back have really not wound up very well, and authorities haven't been able to catch this sea otter yet. It's like, have you ever heard of something like this ever happening?
I have so many questions. Like, sea otters don't have hands. Like I'm just already at the whole time you're sharing this, I'm trying to imagine a sea otter. And I'm like, I know my flora and my fauna and my animals. Like, I know these things. Little biology self is like picturing a sea otter. I thought they were small. I thought and maybe I'm thinking of a beaver, but like in my head, they don't have hands. Like I'm just like,
I mean, I think they have like little hands, but they're supposed to be like cute, right? And this one is like little. And she's like getting all up in there and like taking them. And maybe
taking them with her mouth.
I think with her mouth, yeah. And like there's been all these articles like sea otter evades capture again, and like sea otters in Santa Monica Bay stealing this, and she's like taking them away and like putting like stockpiling them. She's like getting all the surfboards for herself and hoarding them. And like obviously they like, you know, they're like, oh, this is dangerous. We need to capture her.
I'm just still at the mechanic. I'm still at the mechanic. Like, so then I'm like, all right, maybe their jaws are really strong and she can swim away with them. But then I'm like, surfboard, like I can barely pick up a surfboard. How does the sea otter move? Like, they're little. Aren't they little?
I don't know. I mean, like, maybe they're bigger than we thought, but like, definitely sea otter harassing surfers is a topic right now.
Okay. Sea otter somehow has super sea otter strength.
No. Adult sea otters may grow up to 5 feet in length and can weigh like 80 to 100 pounds. So they're not that small.
They're like a short man. Like that's it's like a teenager.
Yeah, that's like a teenager. And they have
so my whole sea otter knowledge clearly is low. And I think maybe I've been confusing them with beavers.
Yeah, beavers are smaller, but also vicious. I mean, as a Canadian here, I know my beavers. They are also not an animal you want to get into a fight with. But yeah, I just think this is hilarious because it's like, first of all, when does this happen? But also that it's like a girl sea otter doing it.
I kind of love that it's a girl.
I kind of secretly love this.
Like that she's just like, now I'm like thinking of her as this like revolutionary, like activist sea otter that's like stealing surfer bros. Like I just have a vision of her now. Like I'm just imagining her like in the ocean, just like taking down one bro at a time. Like through, you know, like
why are you here, yo? This has been my bae forever. Like get out. Yeah, I'm gonna take your board.
I love this for her. I actually love this for her. I probably sound like the orca people who are also like, I'm also pro orca ramming the boat. So I feel like this is in the same, I think the animals are fed up is actually what this means. Like you've got the sea otters, you've got the orcas who are just like, we've also had enough. I think the little COVID reprieve where the animals had their homes to themselves. I think they've all now like, now that's like front and center. And they remember that like, there was once a time when we didn't have to deal with these people. And I think they're retaliating. They're reclaiming. And I'm not mad at that, actually.
I mean, the LA Times said that apparently she has evaded both land and underwater techniques. Wow. So not only does she have an agenda, but she's sneaky.
I love this for her. I too want to be a surfboard stealing sea otter. I didn't know this was an ambition, but now it's here. It's here.
No, it's here.
It's here now. I love this. Well, thank you, Hannah. We need whoever was listening. This is knowledge we needed. We needed to know this.
Oh We needed, and thank you for so many amazing laughs on today's show. This was just so much fun from beginning to end. If any of you want to follow Danielle and her work, which is incredible, you can do so on Twitter, or I guess it's X at DJ Baskin, or you can also check out her website, daniellebaskin.com. I'm sure she is going to have many incredible updates to Moonlight, which I highly recommend you sign up for if you're at all interested in checking out some really just gorgeous graphics and a social way of playing tarot. Check out, what she's going to have up her sleeve next for us, because I'm sure there will be something new to laugh at very soon.
If you love this episode, to tag us on socials, share it with your homies. We're really excited about the way this season's going.
We'll see you back next week for another episode of It Just Got Real.